Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews, my latest TV show for you guys here now, and the first of the new year. I go across the pond because I always happen to like British TV shows for some apparent reason, and this is called A Very British Scandal. This is a somewhat sequel series to a very English scandal that came out a few years ago, and this touches upon the infamous divorce case from 1963, Argyll versus Argyll. And that sort of exploded in a way that we haven't seen since, only excluding probably the divorce of Prince Charles and Diana. If you know something about the British aristocracy or upper class, they happen to make sure that their dirty laundry doesn't seem to want to be aired. Of course, alas, sometimes their laundry does get aired, and it's obviously brilliant and wonderful for the lower class to see that, oh yes, we'd like to admire the British aristocracy, but alas, they're just like us. They have problems. And here's another thing that people don't seem to tend to realize is that they are asset rich sometimes, but cash poor. Paul Bettany and Claire Foy could easily do this role in her sleep, considering that she was on the crown and playing Queen Elizabeth. Now she plays a woman named Margaret Campbell, who marries Ian Campbell, who is soon to be the Duke of Argyll, and also inheriting the Inverness estate. And apparently they shoot some exteriors at Inverness, which is like, hey look, congratulations to the Argyll family. When we first meet these two, they're on a train, and basically she's getting a divorce from her husband. He's currently trying to get a divorce from his wife. She obviously doesn't want a divorce. Now, back in those days in Britain, you can get divorced by one of two ways, or probably was a third, although I can't really remember the third way. One of them happens to be adultery, the other happens to be, abandonment. One thing we come to learn about the Paul Bettany person is that, yeah, he is charming, but he also has very different mood swings, and also the fact is, oh yeah, he's perennially short on money, and he constantly runs to his new wife's father for money. Quite frankly, we all think this is going to be a very lovey-dovey relationship, but no. And at least at one point, she says to, Paul Bettany, hey look, let's promise never to bore one another. Which, quite frankly, you will have to wonder to think to yourself, okay, who would really want to marry into the British aristocracy? But alas, hey look, the idea of becoming a duchess is just all too tempting. I mean, no one wants to be a marriage countess or, a countess, more or less. They want to be a duchess. Granted, this marriage is not all in the least but healthy for one another. He constantly is drunk, constantly short of money, has violent mood swings, and obviously he has kids from another relationship. She just has a penchant for late night partying, going out, and frankly, then she gets the really round idea of, okay, I'm going to try to convince, my husband that his previous kids are not his, and his ex-wife stepped out on him. Obviously, she sort of plans the idea with this one other friend she has, but this one friend just sort of says, yeah, you've met the British aristocracy, right? They're full of bastard kids that constantly run about. And here's another thing that I think a lot of people will probably love to learn is that inheriting a title, that's strictly a man's position. Now, yes, some women are indeed allowed to inherit a title. That's few and far between. Obviously, she wants the child to make sure that, hey, my own kid could easily inherit Inverness. Their marriage just falls apart. She has an affair, and she constantly tends to deny it. And obviously, this court case rests upon, okay, what does the letter V mean in her diary? And also a Polaroid photograph of a headless man she gives fellatio to. What is this really all about? Because, quite frankly, with obviously the Clinton scandal, we all were like, okay, this is about sex. That's basically it. Why are we caring here? I'm left with no greater impression of why should I care about either of these people? Because they're cads. This is the first time a woman was publicly shamed in the British press. And also, the one thing that they don't tell you when they give you the coda for what happens after is that the Duke of Argyll dies a decade later after marrying his other wife. Now, at the very end, we are given a brief snippet of an interview towards the end of her life when she's been asked, do you think he legitimately loved you? And she can't really answer that question properly. As far as who is that nameless man in the Polaroid, a few years ago, an in-law of the Argyll source said, hey, look, this could easily have been this person. If you really want to watch another trashy thing about the aristocracy, please do. I know this apparently has a 90% on the Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not one of those people enjoying in the chorus. I do think the performances are good, but I just sort of think to myself, wow, I'm barely depressed about watching all of this. So folks, a very British scandal. Have you seen this? What did you think? Please put everything in the comment box below here, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, and enrich yourself with knowledge. I'll see you next time, folks. Yes, hooray.